from the United Nations World Food Program. Please put your hands together for Pierre Guillaume, everybody. He's coming up on stage right now. There you go. Really nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Glad to be with you today.
Flown in from Rome.
Yes.
Headquartered in Rome.
Yes.
Pretty awesome. So, lots of really cool stuff actually tying into Zynga, Andy leaving right now, and some really groundbreaking stuff that this gigantic organization, I think you guys feed more people than any other organization in the world.
Last year we delivered about 54% of all the world's food aid. We feed about 100 million people.
More than 100 million people, more than half of the world's food aid. So before we dig into that, I'd love to hear more about WFP and also the market and what you're doing. Tell me about yourself and how you sort of got into this space.
It's a weird trajectory. I was born and raised in Africa, and both my grandfather and my father were working in development in one way or another. So very early on I caught the development, not software development, economic development bug. And at the end of my studies, moved to Washington for an internship that was supposed to last 4 months. That I spent loading frozen chicken on trucks, which was really fun. And at the time it was 1998, 99, so the dot-com was really picking up, and I quit that internship and joined a small startup that was doing a lot of online advertising, early stuff. Joined the startup and went through the classic, I was employee number 3, went to 30, and then we crashed miserably, went bankrupt. But right before we went bankrupt, I managed to get a little consulting gig at the World Bank in Washington. And so started consulting with them, then became staff. And I didn't know that, but I've always been in love with technology, and it became really apparent at the bank. And I started doing a lot of technology stuff, a lot of open data, a lot of lightweight open source systems. And I started building, and I spent 9 years there doing a lot of very interesting work. And then after 9 years, this opportunity came up at the World Food Program. And what the World Bank was doing was great. What the World Food Program is doing was very tangible. So I decided to join and try to apply my skills and that passion for technology and the internet on feeding people. And so I've been there about 4 years, and it's a fun gig.
Wow, interesting. So I know that the UN is this gigantic sort of lumbering organization, and yet the WFP is also has to be one of the largest programs inside the UN. But yet you've been able to really stay nimble and do some really cutting edge stuff. I wish we had a screen here to show some of the stuff that these guys are doing to sort of bring this charitable work right into the interactive sphere.
So the World Food Program is a bit of a different animal in the UN system for 2 reasons. One, we're 100% voluntarily funded. That means that when the year starts, we have to go back to government, we have to go back to private sector and ask them for money to fund our project. So we don't have a rolling budget. That's number one. Number two, we fight a lot of emergencies. And when you fight a lot of emergencies, you need to be fast, you need to be nimble, you need to be responsive. And so that creates a very incredible culture in the organization that is just about getting things done. And that applies to getting things done, delivering food to victims of an earthquake, getting things done, launching a website, creating an API, working with developers. I love the speed in this organization. It's pretty unique in a large organization like this, 15,000 employees. And it's fantastic, really, because we get to, we have results quickly.
Wow, that is a fascinating insight. The fact that you guys don't have this sort of teat that you're able to suckle off of and just keep you going, and then you just get sort of
it's
fat and
purely,
you have to
purely
go out and kill, and you got to eat what,
No, it's very, we prove ourselves every year. Government knows that when you invest in the World Food Program, you have results. I mean, it's again very tangible, very measurable, and we're pretty proud of that. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So Brett Ryerson, who runs the World Food Program for China,
raise your hand, Brett.
Brett, are you in the audience? He's not even here right now.
No, he should be around. He's around.
I'm an avid marathon runner, and there's a guy named Paul Tergat who is the fastest man in the world, and he grew up in Africa. He grew up in Kenya, and he talked about how when he went to school, they actually had food at school, and that's from WFP, and now he's become a spokesperson. So it's like dramatically changed his life and turned him into this world-class athlete. So
think about it. Every year we feed about 26 million children in school. So these are kids that get a meal every day from us. It's a nutritious meal. It's a meal that is conceived by nutritionists, so we know what goes into this. Really good for the brain, and it's a strong incentive for you to show up at school. If you're a 6-year-old in Sudan, Your dad is going to need you in the field, taking care of the crops, taking care of the cattle. But if he knows that if you go to school, you'll have a meal, it's a strong incentive. So we've devised a whole slew of programs that are really designed to keep these kids in school and give them a shot at education, give them a shot at escaping poverty. And Poltergat, was a beneficiary of this and is now the fastest man in the world. So clearly it works.
He said he would be not only, undernourished and would never be an athlete, but he said he would probably be illiterate had it not been. So it's actually interesting, the sort of unintended positive consequences from this kind of program.
Yeah.
So, one thing I'd love to hear about, and I know you have other case studies, is that during the earthquake in Haiti, you guys did a tie-in with Zynga.
That was really a high moment in my career at the World Food Program. We had started to talk to Zynga, who was young at the time. I mean, the earthquake happened, close to 3 years ago, and when it happened, Zynga was trying to figure out how can we do good. I mean, I can't praise them enough. They're a fantastic company. They want to help. They're very genuine, and I think together we were one of the first partners to work with them. We helped create a model that is beneficial to us, beneficial to them. And here's how it works. So when the earthquake happens, within 3 hours, I was on the phone with them saying we need to do something, and they wanted to help. They didn't really know what to do, so we're going to launch a virtual goods campaign. So within, I would say, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours max of the earthquake, I had guys in Farmville and a number of other titles mobilized, designing goods, launched a campaign. They had something like 90 million unique users at the time. And within 3 days, we have this campaign running in Farmville. And within about a bit more than a week, it raises $1.5 million, which was very impressive. All that by people buying these virtual goods that would go to us. And so we were doing this, and then all of us were dumbfounded by how powerful this thing is. And so they came to me and said, well, how can we say thank you? How can we have all these players that gave, and how do we thank them? And so we could have, issued a press release and say thank you, but we said, jointly came up with the idea of doing, look, these are farmers, these are people that go into their farm and harvest crops. So we gave each single player, at the time it was about 90 million people, right? 90 million people received a virtual high-energy biscuit. So a high-energy biscuit, when you have an earthquake and you have no cooking facilities, everything is destroyed, people need to survive. So we give them these high-energy biscuits. They are biscuits that are supercharged with calories and nutrients. And so we designed a little high-energy biscuit, a virtual one, and gave that to every single farmer. And then when you would log in, you say, hey, to say thank you, the World Food Program is giving you a virtual high-energy biscuit. And you, as a farmer, you would activate it. And then, here's the kicker, the farmer would harvest twice as fast. Right? So you would see the little farmer go around and harvest. So that, to me, really gave me the idea of a new model for philanthropy or supporting charities like us. Is what happened was, it was an experience that was extremely social. So people shared it with their friends, obviously, number one. It was totally integrated in the product. It was part of the experience, right? When you buy virtual goods. I didn't have to go and fill out a long donation form and a credit card number to make a donation. It was really in the Farmville experience. And it was very rewarding to the player because my farmer got to harvest twice as fast. So if you think about it, so obviously victims of the Haiti earthquake, we helped rebuild a school with the funds they gave us. We helped feed many children in school. So all these people benefited from that. The players felt great about it because they were able to help and share with their friends. And Zynga, was really happy because they found this model that is really rewarding to their users and obviously to their brand. And so we've been doing more campaigns like this. We did another one last week, and it's working extremely well. People want to help, and they want to help in a very social, public way. And that's one of the main reason why I'm here today, is to talk to developers, talk to game developers, talk to e-commerce provider about the fact that philanthropy is moving away from being this very private thing that you do in the back end, right, into something that is core, that it needs to be in your product, that needs to be social, that needs to be shared, that need to be used in your brand building with your users, whether you're Zynga or a small startup.
Wow, I mean, how awesome is that, everybody? What a great idea. Just, it's not even win-win, it's like win-win. It just,
you have all kinds of models.
It just blew me away, the speed that was actually deployed, and the success, and all the benefits for everybody. And I think you make a very good point in that, when people do give charitably, they do really want to be acknowledged for that, right? I mean, there is that sort of component of like, it's a sort of status thing, and that's one of the things that are driving so it can all be integrated.
I mean, if you, I mean, I don't know whether it is an equivalent in China, but in the US, clout. Everybody talks about clout, your clout score, how influential you are, right? Well, I want to talk about the karma score, right? So you're doing good, you're giving, you're helping people, you're volunteering. That should be tracked as a score, and that should give you perks and discounts and things like this, right? Not about how influential you are, but how good you're contributing to society. If you're really a good guy, you should be rewarded for it. And I think we're moving into that model.
Does that exist, the karma score?
Well, we're building it.
How many people use clout? Anybody notice? You're sort of like forced into using it. It takes your score through LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, but I think a karma score is much more.
I think it's great, and I mean, people
positive.
need to be rewarded for helping, and yeah. And so I mean, just not to sell everything out. We're working on a platform that's going to allow developers, e-commerce, whomever has anything to say on the internet, mobile developers, basically integrate with us, make it easy to fundraise in a way that is core to your product. Keep your impact, who gave to what, how many children you fed, how many women you helped, how many farmers receive training thanks to you and your community of users and brand.
The whole API and backend
Exactly.
to track all that.
So how do we scale that up essentially and make it really easy? I understand developers are busy, they have their roadmap. How we can make it brainless for them to integrate with us and make a big difference? Yeah. So that's
Interesting. I'd love to ask you a little bit more about China in a minute, but before I do, I know that you have this game called My Rice. Free Rice. I'm sorry. Free Rice. My Rice is actually a portal here from the dot-com boom times in the 90s, and I'm sorry, I was reminiscing back then with the. So Free Rice has been on for a long time, right?
Free Rice came out in 2007. Free Rice is it's a unique story, really. Free Rice came out of is a guy called John Breen who had a son that was supposed to take an exam and was reading through books, and he was like, well, there needs to be a better way. And this guy was, programmer at the time, and he came up with a very simple PHP script on a SQL database of questions. And he said, well, here's a script, and you can take questions, and if you click on the right question, you go on to the next one. And then I'm going to put a banner ad at the bottom, and for the money that I'm going to raise to this, I'm going to give it to the World Food Program. And he did this really for a small circle of, maybe his friends and, his son's friends and all that. And it took off. And it went, I hate to say it's overused, but it really went viral back in 2007. And this thing started, get traction to the point where the guy was losing sleep. He was, rebooting the servers overnight that were in his basement. I mean, he was really a dedicated volunteer who gave us that. After 2 years, he was like, okay, I've done it, I love it, but I need to pass it on to you guys. So he gave that to us back in 2009. We re-engineered it, made it a bit more social, a bit more community-driven, and relaunched it. And Free Rice today, every day, 2,000 meals are given by people learning and feeding the hungry. We have 1.5 million people playing this, and it's making a huge difference using a simple, ad-based model. So there's a lot that can be done with the internet.
So again, and sort of added whammy or bonus is that people are actually learning. It's not just about sort of like, I'm just going to give. So
no, you learn
it's like a full,
I mean, you took your SATs, right?
I did take the SATs.
Well, but then now today on Free Rice, you can go and study for your SATs.
Oh, terrific.
The test, and you have the test. And we're always expanding the content. We've translated it. It's available in several languages. Always looking for content partners. And it's, again, win-win-win model. You learn, people are fed, and you have fun. Hard to beat that.
Really interesting. So here in the Middle Kingdom, I think the whole sort of charitable giving sort of mindset, I think, is still a little bit newer compared to the West. But I heard some really interesting metrics from Brett using social media, using other tools. Can you share some?
Sure, absolutely. We have a great setup here in China. So Brett here's the country director. Raise your hand this time, Brett. I saw you walked in. This is Brett, our country director, who's been doing a lot of good things here. Yeah, please. And one of the when I say we have a good setup is that we have a really strong partner. We have CFPA, which is the Chinese Foundation for Poverty Alleviation, which is an organism that deals with nonprofits like us in terms of how to manage the funds. And they've been really supportive of us. And as we started, trying to replicate some of the models we've seen happen in the US, we did a fantastic partnership with Tencent, where Tencent basically they have something called the Love Plan, where it's a very micro-donation oriented type of deal. And you can donate 10 yuan to the World Food Program via our partner CFPA. And again, went viral. We have now more than 100,000 monthly donors who every month, give just 10 yen. And it's, if you think about it, this to me is the example of China. This is, you know, a lot of people doing a little bit, but having a massive impact. And it's growing so fast and it's going so well that we, that Tencent, WFP, we decided to celebrate this partnership by inviting a number of their users, netizens, to write about hunger, write about the role of China in the world. And the winning essay, we took a couple of them and a couple of Tencent executives to see how the money was being used in Cambodia. So, because we have, again, very tangible results. We can show you this is your money in action. These are the kids that you're feeding. And so, again, you know, a very solid partnership all around. And I think we're just scratching the surface here. I'm excited about what's to come.
Excellent. And what about the use of Weibo? Do you know the numbers, or maybe?
Yeah, no, I do. This is, again, so that's an interesting thing, because we track our metrics, obviously, religiously based in Rome, and we track our Twitter growth and our Facebook growth, and then the China team that's here just said, hey, we're gonna launch a Weibo account, and you know, in 3 weeks they're like at 1.2 million followers, and so the team in Rome is like, wait, no, what? No, that can't be right, because the scale was just unprecedented. So we have 1.2 million followers on the Tencent Weibo, and 10% of these become donors. So it's people want to give. I understand that there are some issues, misconceptions, or maybe some issues about charities in China. I think what we bring at the World Food Programme, being a global organization, part of the UN, is an enormous amount of trust. I mean, what we do is quote-unquote certified. We're very transparent, very public, very open. So for brands that are looking into affiliating with a good cause, hunger is, it's hard to disagree with hunger. We're a perfect partner.
So the initial example you gave with Tencent was Tencent Weibo, 1.2 million, 10%, 100,000 or so giving. Yeah. So it's a million renminbi a month coming in through that.
A lot of the people are giving.
Those metrics are actually astounding, right? I mean,
it dwarfs a lot of.
How does that compare to the rest of the world? Would you say, like with Twitter?
The scale is unprecedented. I mean, we again, and we've done a lot of stuff with Zynga, which has a massive user base. But compared to China, I mean, I haven't seen anything like this.
Great. So last question: What's next? What's exciting you? What are you doing? Maybe around mobile or anything you can share?
Well, so we for some reason, I don't know, we haven't missed the boat on mobile, but we haven't really figured out a way to really crack it. And this is where I want to attend conferences like this, because this is where you have the best minds in the industry that we can learn from. We have something on the hackathon, for example. We have a couple developers that are going to build something with us, and because we're trying to find out. Obviously, there is we want to integrate with mobile developers on checkout, on points, on things like this. But in terms of bringing hunger to mobile, we haven't really figured that out yet. So if you have any idea, you know where to find me. Terrific,
excellent, everybody. Pierre Guillaume, World Food Programme. What's the Weibo handle? What's your Weibo handle? Do you know? If anybody wants to follow you guys.
Are we World Food Programme on Weibo? Yeah.
World Food Programme, yes. PROGRAMME, yes. The British spelling.
We'll be watching the counter go up.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all your success, and very, very impressive.